Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to Nexus Con. I'm going to be your host, Matt Burkett, and you have stumbled into the Godzilla in the Reiwa era panel. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What in the name of Mothra is the Reiwa era? Okay, well, tiny little history lesson. When a new emperor takes the throne in Japan, it always brings about a new era name that is used to identify years on the Japanese calendar. For example, the reign of Emperor Hirohito from 1926 to 1989 is called the Showa era. From 1989 to 2019, we had the Heisei era under Emperor Akihito. And last year, when Prince Naruhito was crowned emperor, it marked the official beginning of the Reiwa era. Now, what does this have to do with Godzilla? Well, Toho Studios, that's the company responsible for creating the King of the Monsters, has divvied up the Japanese Godzilla films into 4 separate eras, 3 of which are actually named after the emperor reigns they took place in. And those eras are Showa, that encompasses the classic films from the 1950s to the 1970s. Then you have the Heisei era, we're roughly talking 1984 to 1995. Then you get into the Millennium era, which happened from 1999 to 2004. And finally, the Reiwa era, which is essentially modern-day Japanese Godzilla. Now, the Reiwa era technically started last year, like we said, but officially, Toho recognizes that the Godzilla Reiwa era started with 2016's Shin Godzilla. It's a little confusing, but ultimately it makes things a lot easier when you're talking about things chronologically speaking. And even though it's just been 4 years, there's been a lot of really, really cool stuff happening. And today you're going to hear a little bit about it from some people who have experienced it firsthand, whether they might have attended film premieres, or in some cases even worked on the movies themselves. Let me introduce you to my other panelists.
Hello everyone, my name is Max Frank. I am part of the Monstrosities Tokusatsu vlog crew, and I went to go see the world premiere of Shin Godzilla in 2016.
Hey guys, my name is Yoko Higuchi. I was a production assistant on Shin Godzilla, and I'm an aspiring filmmaker.
Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Chaffins. I am a staff writer for SciFiJapan.com, and I am the author of the upcoming book, Discovering Tokusatsu, Interviews with the Makers of Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and other kaiju Aiga.
So really, the Reiwa era all began, I think we can all agree, because Toho has also officially said so, with Shin Godzilla. And this movie, to say that it revitalized the franchise, I think is putting it mildly, because I don't think the franchise has been this important either domestically or internationally since the Heisei era.
Of course, the director of Shin Godzilla is Hideaki Anno, chief director Hideaki Anno, and co-directed by Shinji Higuchi. Both of them share a directing credit on the film. And as many anime fans would know, these two guys were the creators of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a highly influential anime series that debuted in 1995. So it very much is a Anno Higuchi project. I think these guys, there was no creative interference whatsoever. These guys had all the reign to do whatever they want with the character, and Toho just said, here's the money, there you go, just make the movie. They made some really interesting choices. I think Anno especially put his own stamp on the character and made it as weird as anything from Evangelion, and it was just a crazy design, but also it somehow stayed true to the original. If you see a silhouette of Shin, instantly it's Godzilla. So as much as it strays away from the conventional, traditional Godzilla look, it is, without a doubt, Godzilla.
Absolutely. So the whole genesis of Shin Godzilla, a lot of people don't realize this. The movie was already predetermined in 2013. Now, of course, it wasn't announced of the title at the time, and nobody knew who the directors were going to be up until 2015.
Up until that point, the last Japanese Godzilla film that we had was Final Wars in 2004. And sure, we had Godzilla 2016 or Godzilla 2014 to bide time, but it'd been 12 years up until that point until we finally got a brand new film. It was so insane. All the internet was a buzz, and all we got was just that poster of this kind of darkened out, meatball kind of looking head, and everybody's like, what the hell is this? It was very exciting.
Well, some of us, one of us in this panel actually was able to work on Shin Godzilla. Yoko, like, I know it's such a broad question, but I mean, what was it like being a lifelong fan and suddenly finding yourself on the set of the newest Japanese Godzilla movie?
You know, it is kind of like being a kid in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, like it, or maybe even that's an understatement. Maybe it was just such a like unbelievable experience, and I remember the first day walking into Toho, I almost thought like, okay, so I'm gonna wake up now. This is when I wake up from my dream. But it was just an amazing experience. I can't stress enough how much fun I had all the time. Of course, it was back-breaking work, not metaphorically, like literally back-breaking work. It was such a cruel shoot, as any film shoot is really. But I started off doing some work for A unit, which is mainly for the actors. But then I transitioned into B unit, which is the special effects department, because they knew I came because I was a Godzilla fan all the way from the States, and they thought, hey, why don't we put this guy near Godzilla? So for the rest of the shoot, I was with the special effects department. And needless to say, just seeing those guys every day is just inspirational. Those guys are incredible dudes. I still chat with them, and when I went to Japan again in November of last year, I met some of them up again, and they're just really nice, and they're really talented guys, and it's just so insane to see how they do stuff and what they do. It's just incredible, and obviously there are no weekends in Japanese film production schedule, so I worked almost every single day for, I think, 93 days straight, and I called out sick once. So that was really hard on my body, but my emotions were so high that drove me to keep going every single day without a complaint in my head. Like I'd have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to catch a 1.5 hour train ride to get to the Toho studios. So, and even then I never felt so alive waking up that early. I hate waking up early, but knowing that I'm going to a Godzilla set every single day, it just drove me. And of course, as an aspiring filmmaker, it was just a dream come true. I was 20 at the time, and being on my first big production, and that being a Godzilla film, no less, was just a dream come true. Not a lot of people know what it takes to make a film, and I think getting to see that peek behind the curtain was just such an incredible experience, and I'll never forget it. But it was such an amazing time, just to kind of like say it in a broad kind of answer.
Supposedly, you have a couple of things that you perhaps wanted to show.
I did promise that, and I'm not gonna rob you of that experience. I guess what I'll show first is these are the scripts.
Oh, snap.
These are the different copies of the script. This is the first one that I got when I arrived on set, and I didn't think this was going to be the title, because I knew that Shin meant new, so I thought it was just like a working title, but it ended up being the real title. And I remember the first day on set, it was filming hasn't begun yet. They were, I think, announcing the cast. So everything was set, so they were doing location scouting. So all we had to do really in the office was to read this, but I can't read this because I can't read Japanese. So I had to sit in the office and not do anything for like a whole day. And I had to go back home and read this, and I can show you, I wrote what happens in each scene in English, so I know what happens in a specific scene. And it took almost like 2 days of translating, me and my mom, and I think I also have Higuchi sign this, actually.
And that, of course, is Shinji Higuchi.
Shinji, not me. I didn't sign that. I didn't sign a copy of my own. Yes, this is Shinji Higuchi's signature. I guess it's dated August 12th, so that would have been my second week, because I began on August 1st. So we got these different copies of the script. They kind of went through different phases. The first copy of the script did have some. It's almost the same, but some of the scenes are in different orders actually. So that's that. You get these. If you're a background actor, if you're like an extra, you get like one of these folders. It says like G Extra, directed by Hideaki Anno and Shin Higuchi, and this little tote bag. My mom was actually an extra in Shin Godzilla. Sadly, her shot wasn't used, but she got these as a thank you for being a background actor. This is a towel that, man, it's so hard. You can't even see it when it's so long. You get these at the wrap party. So I was able to snag one of these. This is really cool. And here's the nitty gritty stuff. Here we go. Are you ready? These are different like tokusatsu pieces that were destroyed from the buildings that were built out of the roof. All this debris is ended up in the trash, basically. Like they just throw it out. And some of the crew guys in B Unit, they were like, "Hey, do you want this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yes, give me everything that is in the trash." So I don't even know what scene this is from. So they were like laughing at me because I was like salivating as I was like collecting like basically garbage. Like for example, it's just a cover of like TNT. It just says TNT. So like it's an explosive, and they have like these apple boxes, like small little apple boxes that are miniatures, like little ladders. These were scattered around. This I know what scene this is from. This is the scene in the Yashiori strategy where they make the buildings fall on Godzilla, and there's that shot where it's a miniature shot of all the desks like falling out of the window.
Yeah.
These were placed on the desks as like little files and stuff. And
Yoko, we're not friends anymore.
No, you're gonna be really mad at me after I show you these next two things. You're gonna be really mad at me.
Oh boy.
This is Godzilla's claw.
Whoa!
It's a chroma. It's chroma key, so they can CG his foot in. So basically, the shot was supposed to be. They had the ground explode as this kind of comes in. So they had it on a rig, and they had like the dirt set up so it'd like explode, and they'd CGI his foot in the shot in post. But they I guess they saw me like stare at this for a long time, and they were like, "Do you want this?" And I'm like, how could I say no? This was awful to carry back from Japan. And this one, Ben, you're gonna kill me for this one. I have these in the fridge, and every time a guest comes into the fridge and wants a drink, they think I'm a serial killer. This is Godzilla's skin.
Nice.
Oh wow!
It's latex
Amazing.
skin that. I also have 2 bags more of the skin. Because they were literally like at the end of filming all the effects parts, they were like hauling it in the trash, and then they looked at my face and they looked back at the bag and went, "This is Godzilla's skin. Do you want it?" And the original response I would have had is just like salivate and grab it and like run away. But I do have 2 more bags of this, but it's like latex, silicone texture, and this is it has the coloration on it. But
Wow.
this I put in the
That's
fridge because I don't want it to rot.
And this is the part where I sign out now. So, Yoko, you're completely dead to me.
You can't go yet, Ben, because we got to talk about like the impact that Shin Godzilla had, because as you guys were talking before, I mean, it did bad business ticket sale wise. It won Japanese Academy Awards, including Best Picture, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, the impact of Shin Godzilla was absolutely tremendous. In the days leading up to the film's premiere, like the whole city, all of Tokyo was abuzz for it. Umi Hotaru had like a large person-sized Shin Godzilla statue, which was like the first time that you ever got to see like Shin Godzilla from head to toe. There was also these like giant Shin Godzilla like 1-to-1 scale footsteps on like the flat wave breaker section of Umihotaru. It was really cool. On the premiere of Shin Godzilla, there were stuff everywhere. There were figures, there were like tons of knickknacks and collectibles in the theater store, and everybody was just incredibly excited. It was just tons of excitement. Just you could feel the energy in the air, and the audience was just totally blown away by the whole film. It has a very important impact towards the future of like Godzilla films and Toho films, because Shin Godzilla was such a radical departure from typical Godzilla stories and typical Godzilla designs that it opened the door for all sorts of new ideas for Godzilla that had never been even thought about before.
The impact of Shin Godzilla, whether people love the film or they hate it, they can't deny the fact that it has pushed the kaiju envelope to new grounds. And the fact that Shin Godzilla was such a critical success has shown Toho they can get by with a lot of creativity from this point forward.
Prior to Shin Godzilla, obviously Godzilla has always remained an iconic character over there, and also a very marketable character in Japan. But that being said, the character hasn't been in the limelight for a long time, and I think Japanese audiences have moved on from Godzilla. I think the only things that kept Godzilla going were the fans. So Godzilla hasn't been in the limelight pre-Shin Godzilla, but now post-Shin Godzilla, it's everywhere. So the impact of Shin Godzilla has been huge in terms of the Japanese public eye, that people are now talking about Godzilla, wanting to see more Godzilla, and are excited about Godzilla. And I think also they are now taking pride in Godzilla again, which is a great thing.
And I think that's a very important note, because you're absolutely right. All of this touristy stuff started popping up. Because you mentioned Godzilla Road, and that of course leads up to the Hotel Gracery, which has the 1/1 scale 92 Heisei Godzilla head that roars on the hour every hour.
I love it.
They've taken Godzilla and have made it similar to Gundam, Hello Kitty, and the rest of it. Like you can go to Narita Airport, go into a gift shop, and pick up a whole bunch of Godzilla merchandise if you so choose. The Hotel Gracery, like we were talking about, as kind of unofficially become known as the Godzilla Hotel. And like I said, we talked about the 1/1 scale Godzilla head, but there's also this premium room.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Absolutely freaking loved it. It's such a cool thing for fans and non-fans, in my opinion.
The Godzilla room in the Hotel Gracery is such an amazing attraction. Like the floors have like this destroyed cityscape. Along the wall, you have a Heisei Godzilla, like a half Heisei Godzilla statue, and then the other half is a mirror, so it looks like a complete statue. It's got a big TV, and it's got like a giant Godzilla hand breaking through the wall over the two beds.
One thing I think fans don't know, because I didn't know going in, is you get so much free merch.
Yeah, swag bags.
Yeah, like I have it here. Like you get like these miniatures of Godzilla destroying the hotel.
Yeah.
You get like the Godzilla room coins. And they also changed the one thing is there was like a display case in the wall. And when I went, it had the oxygen destroyer in it. And I think there was another year where they had the actual like animatronic Heisei Godzilla head.
The burning Godzilla head.
Burning Godzilla head. And yeah. There's a button that you press and the lights go out.
So if you hear that right now, you hear Godzilla's footsteps, and the beds are actually shaking with the noise. Oh, TV's turning on.
ここで緊急ニュースです。中継です。渡辺さん。こちら上空の渡辺です。見てください。東京の街が大変なことになっております。至る所から煙が立ち込めており、上 況を把握できません。渡辺さん、何が起きてるんですか？私たちの先、ちょうど新宿付近ですね。何か大きな影が動いていますが、正確にはまだ分かりません。それはどれぐらいの大きさですか？
So there, the back's lighting up a little bit more. Floor is glowing. And there, Godzilla destroyed the hotel.
It was tailor-made to please all Godzilla fans, and I think, like, yes, it is expensive, just like off the bat. Like, you see the price and you go, yeesh. But considering, you know, the feeling you have when you enter the room and all the merch you get, and just the overall experience, I think, you know, it is a worthwhile thing to do at least once.
And this was definitely, part of Toho's grand initiative, as we've been talking about, to really kind of push Godzilla back into the pop cultural zeitgeist. But they also, back in 2017, they opened up the Godzilla store, which is a super touristy. It's cool, but it's a super touristy store that occupies the corner of one of these department stores in Shinjuku.
It's great to have a mainstream way of getting Godzilla merchandise. I think before it was so hard to get it because you had to like go to Japan and find like these specific places to buy them. But now that there is like a central store, I think it's a gateway for a lot of people to get more Godzilla merchandise and get more Godzilla stuff.
They debuted these day-long celebrations on November 3rd for Godzilla's birthday called G-Fest. 2017 was really small. There was a lot of suits on display, which was awesome. I mean, suits, like not just display suits, suits. And there was this lighting ceremony with, I think Higuchi was there, Shinji Higuchi, not Yoko Higuchi.
I flew in for that one.
For that one lighting ceremony.
Yeah.
There's this little place right outside of the Hotel Gracery, this little courtyard where it was held in the first year. But then in 2018, they actually moved it, I believe, over to the statue near Ginza. And it just became kind of bigger for the 65th anniversary, which was last year. It was kind of more of the same. It really wasn't that much different than the one from 2018. And I think the thing that made it a little less special, like even though it was the 65th, it also wasn't in conjunction with a new movie, because both 2017 and 2018 were in conjunction with the first and last of the anime movies. But it was still a lot of fun, man. The other cool thing that actually came out of this, and Ben can talk a little bit more about it, is that there was actually like a legit short film using the traditional man in rubber suit techniques.
So for the 64th anniversary in Midtown Hibiya for Godzilla Fest, they actually unveiled the return of the Shodai Gojira suit. Yuji Sakai had actually created the newly replicated suit of the 1954 original for this short film titled Godzilla Appears in Sukagawa, which is currently only available to view at the IG Tsuburaya Museum in Sukagawa. You know, it was nice to see that they actually continued the tokusatsu tradition of practical effects using suits, miniatures, maser tank props, wire works, you name it. It was awesome to see that they went back to that route, and I hope that's something they will follow up with as a full-on production at some point.
You know, you had all this stuff that, again, is probably riding on the coattails of Shin. And something else that definitely rode on the coattails of Shin is, of course, the Godzilla anime trilogy. And this came out a year after Shin came out in November of 2017. From my understanding, the anime movies had been in production or had been in pre-production for at least 4 years prior to that. Information suggests that it had originally been developed as a television series, and Toho eventually decided, no, let's make 3 animated movies that were separated, 6 months apart in release. I was supremely lucky enough to be able to get over to Japan to see the premieres of all 3 of those movies. So those movies mean a lot to me on a personal level. I mean, I could sit here all day and just like go on and on and on and on about it.
The anime trilogy is a very interesting animal. It's a very ambitious project that I think for the most part worked. It just wasn't what people were expecting. Yeah, but overall I enjoyed it, and I think it's worth a watch that anyone should check out.
I'm going to steal a little bit of Yoko's thunder here, because much like what he said about Shin in that it was different, the anime trilogy was putting Godzilla in a place where he had never been before. I mean, imagine placing Godzilla in a space opera like the reimagined Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
Because that's pretty much tonally and visually how it looks.
Well, first, I'd like to say that it gets way too much hate amongst the Godzilla community. Yes, it is not what we were expecting, I think, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that it's bad because it was different from what you thought it was going to be. And whether you like it or not, I think you do have to acknowledge and admire some of the ambition that went into the project, and also just, God, the writing, just it goes to so many philosophical areas, especially in Planet Eater, that I just simply did not expect it to go. And there's almost like a 2001-esque scene towards the end of Planet Eater that I was just so shocked by, and I remember seeing it on Netflix, and I wish I got to see it in theaters, because the TV does not do it justice. Like, I want to see that like Ghidorah scene where he's like wrapping himself like a giant pasta around Godzilla on a giant screen. Like, the visuals are just so beautiful to behold, but I just love the philosophy that they infuse in the story and the questions that they ask. Obviously, not all questions are answered, but I kind of like that in films where they don't answer all the questions, and I think they pose a lot of interesting ideas and concepts, and I think that alone is really impressive and deserves more respect and admiration than it's getting from the Godzilla community, unfortunately.
Like Yoko had just mentioned, you know, they get too much negativity from the fans, and they're not perfect by any means necessary, but they're not that terrible either.
I think the biggest thing concerning the Reiwa era is that it is different. There's so much that's happening here, and like I'm super excited to kind of see like where we're going in the next couple years. What do you guys think is going to be the future of Godzilla in the Reiwa era?
I want to see them continue with traditional tokusatsu. Now, whether or not they do that remains to be seen. And, you know, they may go the anime route again. It's all up in the air, and if they go that route, who knows what's to come. But as a fan of tokusatsu, I want to see miniature sets. I want to see suitmation. Whether or not I get it remains a mystery.
Like we just said before, Reiwa is so different. Shin Godzilla is so different from past Godzilla films. The anime Godzilla series is so different from Shin Godzilla. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
I hope to see a lot more invention. I think, you know, you guys started off with a bang with Shin and the anime trilogy that has introduced the character to a lot of different ideas and concepts that are somewhat alien to the franchise, but a welcome one, to be honest. I think it can only go up from here, and I think that Godzilla is more in the public eye than he ever was in the 60-plus year that he's been in cinema history. I think this might be the most important era of Godzilla since the Showa era, in terms of the widespread appeal of the character and also the reintroduction of the character. I think they're reinventing the wheel for what a Godzilla film and the franchise can do.
I would really like to thank my panelists, Max, Ben, and Yoko, for taking the time out of their schedule to actually do this. And I would also like to thank all of you guys for sitting through this and watching. I really hope you learned something today. If you want more Godzilla goodness, you can actually find me on YouTube under Monstrosities Tokusatsu Vlog and on Twitter at Tokusatsu Vlog. And with that said, for Godzilla's sake, please stay safe, healthy, and enjoy the rest of Nexus Con. Take care, guys.